My name's Joel Cohen. I'm with the Sea Turtle Preservation Society right now for this talk. And we're going to talk about sea turtles, whales, manta rays, and boats. Oh my. We live in an amazing place. You probably already know that. You're here at Nature Day. Not only do we have amazing numbers of sea turtle nesting, or one of the most important nesting areas in the world for loggerheads, and greens are starting to, we're very important habitat for sea turtles. We're also part of the calving grounds for North Atlantic right whales. The entire species of North Atlantic right whales calves from North Carolina through Florida. And every winter, just January to February is our prime time. We get moms and babies down here. And it happened again this year in February. Unfortunately, she didn't make it past Savannah till that happened. So we're also, through amazing research and science and technology with cameras, and we're learning that we are a really important habitat for manta rays. Off of our coast, we have both, I'll tell you the information on that. We also have a growing population of us, right? That's no secret. And lots of us are getting more boats. I grew up here. I've had a boat my whole life, love a boat. But I know where I live, and I know what's here when, and I just try to be a little more careful. I think we can do that. It's definitely doable. But if we don't have the awareness that they're here, it gets a lot more difficult. If I go out on my boat any time of the year, I'm looking for sea turtles, whales, mantas. So anyway, that's what these photos are. They might be kind of hard to see, but we're getting bigger and faster vessels. These two photos down here, these are actually boats that hit whales that happen to be caught on camera, which is pretty rare. But this was in Mexico, and this was a boat that launched off of a humpback, and the other one is a humpback also, because you can see the little dorsal fin on the back. So it definitely happens. People think it's, I'm going to go out on my boat, it's super rare. No, from the whale's point of view, it happens very often. So real quick, before I get into all that, I promised to give an update on our sea turtle nesting, because it was a pretty phenomenal year as far as nesting numbers go. We can't encapsulate the whole health of sea turtles by just nesting, so I'm going to put an asterisk on there. But we had record number of nests last year that made all the news. It was hard to go to the beach without seeing tracks or nests. It was quite interesting. So the good news, we set records with nesting. Over 212,000 nests in Florida. The exact numbers will come out in March when we go to the meetings and they give us all the numbers that got crunched for the entire state. But loggerheads, 134,000. The previous record was 122,000. Green turtles are getting crazy. We had, and they used to nest, they used to have a big year every 2 years. It's starting to plateau where we're getting big years every year maybe. So we had 76,000 greens. The previous record was 53,000. That's 23,000 nests over. 1,700 leatherbacks and 10 Kemp's Ridleys. There is bad news with nesting. That's numbers of turtles that came up and laid eggs in a nest. Then they're sitting, these eggs are sitting in warmer and warmer beaches. Each decade is warmer than the previous. Sea turtles are reptiles. Their gender is determined by the temperature. Alligators is the same thing. So with sea turtles, it's hot chicks, cool dudes. That's how you can remember it. As the temperature is warmer, hot chicks, we have more females. Cooler, it's more dudes. So we've had warmer beaches, so the warmer incubation temperatures, the studies that have been done are showing us 99 to 100% female hatchlings coming out of these nests. So that's why I hate to say bad news again, but yeah, we can celebrate high nesting numbers, but what's coming out of those nests is really rough to try and think about a really good population in the future. They take 20 to 40 years to become sexually reproductive, so we won't know the results for many years later. The results of all this nesting is directly tied to all the amazing work by amazing researchers like this lady right here, Jeanette Hochel. I don't want to call, she probably didn't want me to call her out, I'm sure, but there's a lot of volunteers, a lot of people working on this through conservation, science, volunteering, and the Endangered Species Act also is why we have such record nesting. Okay, leatherbacks, a study just came out that the warmer temperatures are affecting their hatchling success, and that's not so good either. So we'll move on to happier news. In the Archie Carr Wildlife Refuge, Melbourne Beach, part of Melbourne Beach, this 13 miles, the southern end of Melbourne Beach is the Archie Carr Wildlife Refuge. It is the densest nesting, it's very dense. Total nests were 38,429. That's about 3,000 nests a mile. Now, they don't nest like in a row or all at the same time, but just to kind of give you a thought process of how many nests that is, 3,000 nests a mile is about one nest every 5.5 inches. Pretty crazy. So is Melbourne Beach important habitat for the global population of sea turtles? Absolutely. This is why lights, dogs, plastics, castles, furniture, human dug holes are maybe not right. You don't want to be doing that stuff where we have this, where we are so important for the global population. So dog beaches come up every couple years. This is why we don't have that. Florida hosts 90% of the sea turtle nesting in the United States. Our nesting season, the way I say it, it's when the first turtle comes up to nest. But we actually have defined seasons, depending on what city you're in. Satellite Beach actually starts March 1st, but the county is March 1st through October 31st. Brevard County, that's when we have our lighting ordinance, when it's actually illegal to have lights, any artificial light, including red light. All artificial lights bad for turtles. So anyway, leatherbacks have been nesting in February. Again this year, we have at least 5 confirmed leatherback nests in February, not in Melbourne Beach, but in Palm Beaches farther south of here. So they're starting to nest. So January 1st, 2023, we had a green nest emergence. So a late nesting green, like November or late October, November, somewhere in there. They take longer when it's cooler out, so it could have been 70 days or whatever it took. That nest emerged on January 1st, 2023. So if we have nesting January, February, we have nesting all 12 months of the year. Potential. Green sea turtles, and loggerheads a little bit, but green sea turtles, if you are out and about in the lagoon, you can see them foraging. They used to forage off the seagrass or algae. They're mostly herbivores, so they are here also 12 months of the year foraging because we're part of their foraging grounds and the offshore reefs that we have or don't have. So, but this is about boats and oh my. So, do boats hit sea turtles? Unfortunately, yes. We have a lot of sea turtles, we have a lot of boats, so that happens a lot. Boat strikes account for about 30% or 1 in 3 sea turtle deaths. A 2019 study, which took all of the amazing nesting data that we do all over the state from 1986 to 2014, found 5,808 injured or dead sea turtles just from Brevard through Miami. Of that 5,808, 3,078 were vessel strikes. And keep in mind, we can't always determine cause of death. We have to have a fairly fresh turtle to understand that. You can think about that, or I can explain it. But anyway, 53% of the death was by vessel strikes. It's here. Only about 10 to 20% of sea turtles wash back for us to study. They live in the ocean, so many of them are not seen or studied. So we only get about a 10% to 20% study sample. But but if you were to forget the word, if you were to extend that out to extrapolate, thank you. 5 to 10 times greater than that, then it's between 29,000 and 58,000. And that's over a 28-year period. But still, most of these vessel strikes are occurring within a mile of shore, offshore, and within or near inlets. Obviously, we have to get to the ocean through inlets, and then as we disperse out to where we're going. So that's a pretty no-brainer. That's where the boats are. That's where we're hitting the turtles. If you're ever at Port Canaveral and you go to the boat ramps, there's always little juvenile green sea turtles swimming all around the boat ramps. They aren't learning. There's also rocks because their food is there and they're eating algae there. So they're doing what they're normally doing, and we're putting more and more boats every year. And I'm a boater. I grew up here. I'm not saying anti-boat or anything like that. All I'm saying is we need to understand what's here, and then maybe we can mitigate ourself a little better from hitting these animals. So slowing down, having a spotter, polarized glasses, it's the same thing with manatees. Doing all those things can significantly cut down the mortality and suffering. This all came from a study by Blair Witherington, and several other researchers. All of the data that we would put out by Sea Turtle Preservation is all researched information. So here's a little more information digging into it. The state of Florida, the big thick line, I know this is hard to see, especially back there, but the big thick line, this is good news. That's 2023. We're trending lower than the past 5 and 10 years of the 5-year average and the 10-year average. We're doing better recently, and we have more turtles and more people. So that is a good thing. Of the strandings, the top line you can't see there, but it says vessel strike. So the majority of them are vessel strikes. And it goes through the whole list. The next 250 are unable to assess. So if you think about it, as the turtle decomposes, there's less evidence to know what happened to it, right? That's what that means. Trapped in rocks, shark bites, which are somewhat natural as long as the turtle is not entangled or has some kind of disease that could be traced back to a human contribution. Then they're very well designed to evade sharks. They're naturally really good at evading sharks. If you ever watch a cool video, go on YouTube and type in turtle evade tiger shark, and you'll see a bunch of videos. The turtle's swimming along. Here comes a tiger shark. The turtle turns like this, and the tiger shark can't bite over the shell. And then the turtle does some ninja moves and goes up like this, and it's really cool. Totally evades the shark, and the shark says, all right, forget it. I'm going to go at something easier. If that turtle is entangled or has a disease like fibropapillomatosis, that's a fun word to say. It's a horrible disease, fun word to say. Then or missing a limb from an entanglement, then they're much more likely to not be able to evade. Red tide, we get that every decade or so over here at a level that would impact them. Red tide occurs in other places like southwest Florida. It does impact all marine animals. They have to breathe at the surface, and especially a sea turtle comes up to breathe, and you're breathing in that. It's actually been found that it can cause mortality. No significant finding. Again, that's more not being able to find it. Fibropapillomatosis and anthropogenic. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot all morning at the tent. Anthropogenic instances, which is fishing gear. And then here's even better news for our county. We can celebrate little things here. Our county is well below the state average of strandings. And here's this is the same thing. Vessel strikes are number one. Remember, 30%, 1 out of 3 deaths is from a vessel strike. Next, we're on to our much larger charismatic megafauna, which is a North Atlantic right whale. That's the 10 I'm with today. If you haven't been there, please visit. We can talk to you more about it. I'm going to give you a little quick thing about them. Not only are we a sea turtle nesting ground, but we are part of the calving grounds for this entire species. So meaning this is where they give birth and nurse their young, right off of our beach. Now, it's not just our beach. This goes all the way to North Carolina. But this is a super special, amazing thing. It really adds value to living here. So I love talking about this. It's amazing. We have turtles, we have birds, we have all this amazing nature, lots of lots of amazing stuff, and we have whales. Not only that, we're a calving ground for whales. So it's an easy sell, a whale. It really is. But our whales, I call them our whales, they're born here. They are critically endangered. The current population is only about 350 individuals. We only have about 70 reproductive females remaining. So again, the number one thing of this is the calving grounds, which means if you see a whale, it's typically a mom with her calf. Not always, but that's about a high majority of the time. So the question is, why are they here? Yes. And this is the only known calving ground in the entire world. for this species. Yep, I said that. Okay, their range, this animal's, the calving grounds are down here, but the entire North American coast is where they live. They will travel to the northeast during the summertime. That's when they feed. So in the summertime, they'll go up there looking for food. That's when they eat. When they're down here, moms are not eating. The calves are nursing or breastfeeding off of mom, but the moms are not eating. So they shrink while they're down here. And they've been designed over millions of years to have just a perfect amount of energy if they eat enough in the north to get pregnant, give birth, and then nurse that calf till they go back way up to Canada to find their food again. So their range is the entire North American coast. They're often very close to shore. They have another nickname. Scientists have nicknamed them the urban whale, because they are so close to our urban world. So that's why they're hit by vessels so much. That's why they get entangled in fishing gear so much. They're where we are. We also have plenty of other animals, humpback whales and sharks and all these other animals that migrate at the same time and in the same ocean, but they're farther offshore. So the little differences matter. These whales being so close to us humans is putting them at a lot more risk, and unfortunately we're seeing that each year. This is what they look like. They look pretty odd when you first see them. It took my first year looking at them. I'm taking pictures, and I didn't know which end was up. I didn't know. It took me a year to really figure it out. But yeah, this is the correct orientation. We see when some people display these whales, they put them upside down because they look like they should be upside down. But no, they're all black, and I'm sorry this is not such a clear picture, but that's an all black whale with a little bit of a white spot on its belly, which is white pigment. Then there's white patches on their head, which I'm going to pass around something in a second. That's not barnacles. I'll tell you that in a second. But another super important thing, they have no dorsal fin. This is why they get hit so often. This is why they're so hard to see. They float at the surface of the ocean. They just float there. They may not be going anywhere. They may be nursing their calf right here in Melbourne Beach. And so they're not moving. So you may not see their tail or their pectoral flippers. The 1-year-old that was here was putting on quite the show. But typically, mom, the adults who are not eating, are not expending energy. They're hanging out at the surface often. So that's why they get hit. Black tail, smooth on both sides. That's a key. If you ever see a humpback whale, they'll have a rough tail and they'll have white patches on their tail. That's how they're identified. And they have black paddle-shaped pectoral flippers. So it looks like a square sticking out of the water, waving at you. If anybody saw the whale February 3rd, she was doing that a lot. And they have this really high jawline. Again, it's hard to see. But this big, giant jawline, if you're in your boat and one of these whales pops up next to you, which does happen, you'll see this big jawline. That is a right whale. Then you'll know it is a right whale. The reason they have that big, giant jawline is because it holds this. This is baleen. These are baleen whales. So this is in place of their teeth. They'll have a couple hundred plates on each side of their jaw, and it's like if I'm the whale, this is how it would be oriented. The hairs are on the inside, and as they swim through the feeding grounds where they find this thick copepod, they open their mouth, all these copepods come in, get stuck on these hairs. When they get a nice load in their mouth of them, they close their mouth and push the water out and use their tongue to swallow hundreds or thousands of pounds of these copepods, which I'm going to pass around. I'm not going to pass around this. This is real baleen, and I love bringing it because this is the size of these. This is hanging down from the top jaw. I'm the normal 5'10" size. I could stand up inside of a right whale. I could even do this. That's how big these are. This is the fifth largest whale on the planet. And we live in their calving grounds. We share their calving grounds. So that's the baleen. I'll pass this around really quick. This is what they're filtering out. This is glass, and this is real copepods. So please be careful, but you can spin it around and look at how tiny they are. They look like little fat fleas. They're loaded with oil. And that's key to their diet. So I'll pass that around. You can see that. This is what their tail flukes look like. So they're black and smooth, again, compared to a humpback, which have white spots on them. But these black, smooth tail, if you see that, you're probably looking at a right whale. They're so big, I just mentioned they're the 5th largest mammal. Their tail flukes can be 18 feet across on an adult. Those white patches on their head, I'm going to pass this around next. They're not barnacles. They're actually living crabs called siamids. And they crawl around on the whale's head, and that's how we identify them. The white crab is crawling around on a giant fingerprint. If you think about your fingerprint 100x bigger, and then think about these crabs crawling around it, they can crawl up and down the ridges or hang on, and that's what gives us their fingerprint. We ID each and every individual with these siamids.
Pick these up out of the water? That's what they're...
So we're not exactly sure where they came from. Moms and calves, when you get to watch them here, you'll see them rolling around on each other, and the siamids transfer from mom to calf. There's been a lot of genetic studies on them. They have generations on one whale. There's so much crazy science with those. We can tell the health of the whale. We can tell they're starting to figure out the age of the whale based on the generational age of these siamids. There's so much crazy stuff, but I don't have a lot of time to go there. But these are super high zoomed in photos that I took from a boat under a research permit. You're not allowed to be within 500 yards of these whales because they're so protected. But that's what they look like, these little white crabs, when there's thousands of them inhabiting. There's a better picture. But that's black skin with white or yellowish, pinkish crabs crawling all around dead, raised skin. There's a close-up view of what they look like, but you're looking at that now. So this is for the Zoom people. I leave this slide in for when we do Zoom. I'm going to skip this slide. You already heard 350 animals. This was the photos I took to identify this calf in December 30th, 2023. I took shots of mom's head. Those siamids, those crabs, that's what I took pictures of. Talking to FWC while I'm doing it, sending them the photos. They ID'd it as Pilgrim. And this was the 9th calf of the season documented, and our right whale calving sighting network is the ones that identified the 9th calf last year. This is our whale, February 3rd. Super happy. This whale came back and visited 1 year later, super healthy, looked nothing wrong. We couldn't find anything wrong with her. She's rolling down upside down, showing us her belly button called an umbilicus, which is one of the ways we identified her because she has a unique umbilicus. Yeah, I'm going to have a hard time saying this. 3 days later, she was struck by a vessel. I'll do this slide really fast, but this is my next vision. We took the last photos of her alive. Then a vessel came into Savannah, Georgia, reported a whale offshore. The flight team flew out, got photos of her, and guess what gave away her identity? Her umbilicus, her belly button.
What kind of vessel gave her?
So they're still working on that. We went to the necropsy. How should I? It's not a big vessel. It's not going to be a ship. It's a 25 to 50 foot vessel.
Somebody's cruiser.
Yeah, there's so many vessels on the water, and so first off, they weren't doing anything wrong. Nobody wants to hit a whale. There's whales out there, and we're out there. So when the vessel hits them, we would like to know the vessel, but placing blame on them would be incorrect. If one of us is out on our boat and we accidentally hit a whale, nobody's wanting to do that. It's just an accident. We're in the same place at the same time. So we got to figure out how we can prevent doing this. So here's other images of whales. This is another whale named Clipper. What's that? Okay, that's the worst of it. I have one more bad photo and then we're done. I mean, I don't want to show you this at all. I understand. This is the last sad one. This was another calf 2 years ago, got run over, and mom, St. Augustine. I don't want to show this. I don't want to make anybody sad, but this is what we're doing. I don't know how else to do this without, I can't hide it. Here's another example. This is the red dot is a 1-year-old. The red dot's right here. If you follow that, all these vessels have AIS, so they're live tracked. This is the reality. These are ports. Those are vessels coming in and out of ports. This whale's still alive and fine as far as we know. Oh, thank you. So that's what this is just, if you're a boater, yes?
I have a question. Do you think boaters aren't reporting it because they're afraid they'll be fined or something?
Yes. They don't want to self-incriminate. Like I said, I don't know if you heard me earlier. We had four calves and one mom killed since 2020. The only vessel that called it in was a Mayday call to the Coast Guard because they were sinking. We've heard other stories. There's other things that happen. This is Sebastian Inlet last year. This is Pilgrim and her calf last year, February. Mom and calf, this is fast forward, so you don't have to wait for the whole 6 minutes, and I only have a minute of this left, so I have to go fast. Hard to see, but there's a whale mom with a calf swimming through all these anchored vessels, and they did it right. They just stay there. Keep your anchor down, don't put your motor on. But then they got out a little bit past the inlet, or a little bit past the tip of the jetty, and 6 vessels surrounded them, completely changed their behavior, separated mom and calf, and just kept circling. You'll see how they circle them. Mom went subsurface. The calf can't go subsurface for long because the calf has to breathe more often than mom. And they're only in 10, 12, 15 feet of water. But this is what we're doing. We're trying to get that photo. We're trying to get our once-in-a-lifetime moment next to a whale. But this is a mom and her calf. Think about a mom breastfeeding her baby in her living room. And you approach them with your phone or a buzzing machine. You interrupt them. Then they move to the kitchen. You follow them to the kitchen. This is what we're doing. So, again, I hate to, but yeah, you'll see 6 vessels surround them. And this is just what we're doing. We don't realize we're hurting them. We don't even know. Most people, they don't know it's a mom and a calf. Oh my God, it's a whale. Let's go look. If it's a whale down here in the winter, it's very likely a mom and a calf. And I got to finish this up. So manta rays. We're also a manta ray nursery. We're figuring this out. Really cool science. If you want to follow the Florida Manta Project, it's the world's largest ray, up to 30 feet wide, up to 5,300 pounds. Again, they're filter feeders. They don't have teeth. They eat small stuff too. Amazing animals. They have super healing abilities. There's a lot we need to learn from them. And guess what? We're finding out in the last 8 years, Florida is very likely going to be called critical habitat area for manta rays. It's home to a rare nursery and a large aggregation of adults. And also we have juveniles that hang out off of Port Canaveral. And a lot of fishermen have known this for years because it's a popular cobia fishing. They're like a natural fish aggregating device. A lot of the data came from them. So there's a lot. I'm going to fly through these here. If you just Google this stuff, it's all really easy to find. 27% of mantas studied have been entangled in a fishing line. 46% of studied that have been photographed have injuries from vessels. The theme here is boats. Oh my. This is my photo of a manta ray. Again, even if this was nice colored photo, or you could see it good, it's hard to see a manta ray. It's hard to see a whale. If you're coming in at 6 o'clock, it's December, it's dark at 6 o'clock. You're coming into port from fishing, it's really hard to see these guys. A lot of comments we get is, how do people not see a whale? It is hard to see them. Here is a drone video of, I forgot what inlet this is. This is down south. This is a really quick video. But this manta is swimming inside the jetty, and the boat has no idea it's there. It was not hit, but it was very, very close. But 47% that were photographed have been hit. So we spin out, or this is Paul Dabble, if you ever follow him. So that manta looked like it was fine. This is more right whale, people getting right up next to them. This is Cape Canaveral. This is, the top photo is Cape Canaveral. The bottom photo is Cocoa Beach, spring break. We paddle out to them on our surfboard. Remember, mom breastfeeding in her living room. We're paddling up to them. We shouldn't be doing that. We run up to them on jet skis. There's a mom and a calf in this photo. The calf is right by the motor. We don't believe the motor was on, but still, we're interrupting nursing. We're taking energy from mom who's not eating. More vessels. Luckily, these guys have their website and their name on the vessel, so they were easy to get fined.
What's the size of the fine?
I don't know. I think it's $500. Well, it depends how. There's a lot of variables. A lot of times they're just going to give you a warning. But if you want to get smart with them, they're going to give you $500. I've heard of the one guy that gave him a bunch of crap, and he said, okay, fine, here's your $500. So $500 is, there's a ship speed rule. I can talk about that later. I have to wrap this up because there's another group going to present, right, 2 o'clock, I think. So, but I can go over. Okay, I don't want to take time from FWC. We love them. But here's the current situation. We are hitting these animals. We are in their world, right? I know I've had this discussion. I'm a surfer. I'm a boater. I grew up here. I think the ocean's mine too. It is not. It is theirs. They don't have the chance to come up on the beach. This is their world. We just need to figure out how to live best with them. If we can't do it on our own, there's the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act. NOAA has been sued by a lot of environmental groups to do something about this. They're the ones in charge. So you might hear about this ship speed rule. This is a tough sell, but they're going to try to put a speed limit on vessels 35 feet and longer during the calving season. Maybe this little presentation gives you some insight into why that might be needed. I'm not putting an opinion on it. I'm just saying this is what's happening. This is the reality. This is why we have speed limits on the road. This is why we have school zones that you got to go down 10 miles an hour. This is this nursery out here. So there's a lot of this stuff. Plus it's got lots of lobbying from boaters and fish and politics. There's a lot that goes into it. I just wanted to give you the animal side of the view. And don't forget about our manatees. This is a rare photo of an unscarred mom and calf. Thank you very much. If you'd like to... You can always reach me at the Sea Turtle Preservation Society. My name is Joel Cohen. You can follow me. I didn't put my at Joel Likes the Photo on social media. I share all this stuff. I volunteer with a bunch of groups. I love where I live. I love the stuff that's here, and I want to help protect it and learn how to live with it. So if you're into that, thank you very much, and that's all I got for now.